Hey, welcome back. Half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. Rush Limbaugh, the EIB network. I got some emails. Why didn't you kept teasing you were talking about Hillary yesterday? You never got to it. I admit that was not good. Because I don't tease. I don't tell you something's coming up with no intention of it coming up just to hook you here. I don't have to hook anybody anyway. This program is compelling enough without me employing usual, typical, broadcast, cheap tricks. Hillary bores me. She has bored me for the longest time. I mean, if you want the definition of has-been, she's it. If you want the definition of overblown, never was going to be anything, she's it. Now, her book is coming out today, and they've already marked it down. Did you know this? 40%. I mean, now that's... It's standard for books that are thought to be bestsellers to have 25% off plastered on the covers. It's not unusual. 40% is unusual. I mean, that's because her first book, they gave her her most recent book, not her first, most recent. They gave her a $14 million advance, and it sold 275,000 copies. So that means it sold about 70,000 because Hillary and her buds bought 200,000. So it was a bomb. And then when she did her book signing, nobody showed up because Hillary, unlike Trump and many other public figures, has no personal connection. Even with the people that voted for her, there is no personal investment in her. She, at best, represented the symbolism of the first female president, but she's not likable. She's not charismatic. She's Nurse Ratched and such. So she couldn't draw 20,000 people at an arena like Trump did 5 times a month. She couldn't draw 2,000. I got to take a break. Look, I need to apologize just a little bit. Hillary is drawing a crowd, apparently. Her book is What Happened. And she's blaming Comey. She's blaming Russia. She's blaming WikiLeaks. She's blaming Facebook. She's blaming fake news. She's blaming voter ID laws. She blames sexism and misogyny for losing. Nate Silver, the big data analyst who had her alternately winning between 70% of the time, 90% chance of winning, has now come out and said she ran the most negative campaign in history. Well, if she was doing that, why was she forecast to win 90%? At any rate, I must humbly apologize. There is a line of about 100 people outside what looks to be a flea bag bookstore in Manhattan. Hundreds of Hillary Clinton fans packed into the Barnes & Noble Union Square this morning ahead of a book signing by the vanquished presidential contender. He arrived with Alan Holland from Long Island. Got up at 3 a.m. to catch a 3:45 train to Manhattan to see his Democrat hero. He arrived outside the bookstore 5 a.m., a full 6 hours before Clinton was slated to appear, only to find himself number 200 in the line. This is considered big. 200. Probably that many people try to get into the store every day anyway. 200 people. Die-hard Hillary Clinton fans turn out in hundreds is the headline. If hundreds showed up for Trump, it would be designated the biggest failure, and they do a series of stories of what happened to Trump. Why has he lost it? Anyway, we'll get back to Hillary. Hillary Clinton was on NPR this morning. Since we're with sound bites, let's just stick with this. And the host there was Rachel Martin, who said, although you say you still want a role in shaping the Democrat Party in the future, to which I say, please let her. I hope the Democrats do not kick her to the curb. I hope they keep her in the mix. But that's just me. You're still going to talk about issues, Hillary, that you find to be important, but there's some Democrats out there saying they don't want you to do that, that they think you should pack it in, that you've given it your best shot, but it is time for other young Democrats to climb the ladder and take over. Writing this book, they say you're opening old wounds. You're relitigating a past that is not going to matter. It's not moving the party forward. Have you reconciled that people might not want you as the party steps forward?
Well, they don't have to buy my book, and they can turn off the radio when they hear me talking. I'm not going anywhere. I have the experience, I have the insight, I have the scars that I think, give me not only the right, but the responsibility to speak out.
That's made by the Arkansas broadbeam. It's a species that is native to Arkansas, that cackle. We first heard it, and it sounded just like Hillary laughing here. And so that's what it is. So can you believe she was asked this question? Essentially, look, you're washed up, you're a has-been, and a lot of people in the party think you ought to just kind of pack it in and go away. No way, I'm sticking around. I've got the scars to prove it. And this book of hers that's out today, she blames Comey. I'm not making this up. She blames Russia. She blames WikiLeaks. She blames Facebook. She blames fake news. She blames voter ID laws and sexism and misogyny for losing. None of those are the reasons why she lost. And you all know what they are. She's not likable. She's not charismatic. And, people are offended by this sense of entitlement. I mean, why? What's Hillary Clinton done to be president? Seriously. I think you could say the same thing about Trump. But Trump went out and won. What has she done? Her biggest, the reason why the Democrats gave her a chance to run this thing twice was she should have gotten the picture in 2008. Because 2008, that's when she was guaranteed to be the nominee. And they had to pay her back. She saved her husband's presidency by sticking with him. She saved the Democrat Party by staying with her husband during all of those affairs he had in Arkansas and the White House. By sticking with him, she saved the party. They did owe her. They let her run first attempt at health care. She botched that. She botched the bimbo eruptions unit. She botched pretty much everything that politically. She was not smart. She was not adept. She's not the smartest woman in the world, but the image preceded her. So 2008 comes along, and what'd they do? They threw her overboard for the first option they got that they liked better, which happened to be Barack Hussein Obama. And she's sitting there. She can't figure it out. It was hers. They told her it was hers. And then here comes this Obama guy, and she loses. So this was to be her year, 2016, and they rigged it this time. Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz of DNC rigged the primaries. There was no way that Crazy Bernie was going to win. That's the election scandal. That's what really happened. If you want to look at somebody affecting the outcome of election, look at what Hillary and Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz did. And this has all been uncovered by virtue of the leaks, the hacks of the DNC server. And even with a rigged election in the primary, she couldn't win when they all thought it was going to be in a landslide. So she's bitter, and she can't get over it. And I think, we've been through this. The reason she thought she was going to win, like the left, all these people, was that all the trusted sources they have told them she was going to win in a landslide and believed it. Still can't come to grips with it. Now this book, she could go make a couple speeches at Goldman Sachs for $250,000 each and earn as much as she's going to make doing these book signings. But Hillary lawyers face bar sanctions over deletion of Clinton emails. This is a little bit of a stunning story because you don't see this kind of news about the Clintons. Maryland Circuit Judge Paul Harris refused to halt a state bar investigation of 3 attorneys alleged to have assisted Hillary Clinton in the deletion of thousands of emails in the scandal that rocked last year's presidential race. The lawyers are David Kendall, Cheryl Mills, and Heather Samuelson. Now, nothing's going to happen to them because of the time frame. They'll get a slap on the hand. But what they did really was far worse than that. Andy McCarthy, my old buddy at National Review, last October had a column arguing these attorneys should have been treated as suspects in a wider investigation of the destruction of Clinton's emails from her unauthorized server. But the lawyers got immunity. The lawyer, and then they destroyed Cheryl Mills' laptop, destroying some evidence. The FBI last week, a couple of weeks ago, we didn't release the emails. We didn't think anybody cared. We didn't think there was a compelling. not a compelling interest. Nobody cared. So now the lawyers are facing what will end up being minor consequences. But in the end, folks, it's good. Hillary continues to be the face of the Democrat Party. She refuses to go away. From our perspective, it's all good in any which way you slice it. Having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. Rush Limbaugh on the left coast for we don't know how long, probably the balance of the week. Starting to get some good news reports out of the recovery efforts in our part of South Florida, which may enable us to resume our normal operations at the beginning of next week. But remember, folks, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where I am, as long as I'm here. It doesn't matter where that is. So we'll be here regardless. Hillary Clinton, so cocksure of victory, she bought a second home next door to her Chappaqua estate for White House staff. She admitted this to Jane Pauley, CBS Sunday Morning interview. Said she was so confident of victory that she bought a second home next door to her estate in Chappaqua to accommodate White House staff during her expected presidential retreats. $1.16 million, 3-bedroom ranch-style home. 3-bedroom home for staff? How many people can... 3-bedroom home for staff when she... There's not very much, if you ask me. New York Post says that they reported September 2016 the house was supposed to be a weekend retreat for Chelsea Clinton's family. As Jane Pauley and Hillary walked around the home Clinton had bought for her staff, Pauley commented, "You specifically bought this house for a reason." Clinton said, "Yeah, I did. And this was to be, well, I know a lot about what it takes to move a president, and I thought I was going to win." I know what... So she's got a house that they don't need, and I'll guarantee you who's going to end up using it. Bill Clinton and the Energizer. Bill Clinton, and probably with Hillary's understanding. Put it on the market now, who knows?